वासुदेव जी नमस्कार।
नमस्कार जी, नमस्कार।
Additional Secretary Home, former PCCF Himachal Pradesh, a huge, very dear friend of ours, and somebody who knows a lot of subjects quite closely. He's somebody who's, he's rode a lion, and he knows how to ride lions. Somebody who knows how to tame the lions. Mr. Vasudeva, he was also the Additional Secretary of the Ministry of Environment. Vimal Vaklu, the man who forced me to move from 11 o'clock time, which we keep doing every time, to 3 p.m. today. Thomas CMD, TCIL, a man who has written Gita in his own way. He's interpreted Gita, not written, he's interpreted Gita. Recording is in progress. Somebody with HP as the title, could you introduce yourself? Somebody with HP and videos to be on for everyone. If you cannot have the videos on, please. UK Mishra, somebody, UK Mishra, Mr. Could you introduce yourself? UK Mishra, could you introduce yourself? Arvind Sawant to join us in the inaugural session. Former Minister, Cabinet Minister, Heavy Industries and Public Enterprises to join us in the opening session. He's calling again. We'll start the show probably in the next 1 or 2 minutes. UK Mishra, could you introduce yourself?
Good afternoon. I'm UK Mishra from Econ Ranchi.
Oh, wonderful. Samsung. Okay, HP, could you introduce yourself? HP, could you introduce yourself? Unfortunately, if you cannot.
Myself, JK Jha. I am Director of Commercial Mecon.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay, I did not put my name. I should have. In fact, since UK Mishra has put in, I did not put.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Actually, we were under an impression that today the team, okay, now we've got Arun Sinha ji. Arun Sinha. Arun Sinha is Arun ji, namaskar. Arun ji, namaskar. Sinha sahab. Okay, I've got Narendra ji, former chairman, Indian Overseas Bank. He's an authority on banking. We are very happy to invite him. I've also invited Venkatachalam. Venkatachalam is the president of the UFPO, United Forum of Bankers Union. On 27th, they've called a strike because of the privatization drive. Arun Sinha ji, namaskar. Arun Sinha, former Additional Secretary, Ministry of Labour, was also Joint Secretary, Department of Public Enterprises. Government of India.
नमस्कार, can you hear me, अमित जी?
सर आपकी आवाज आ रही है. आप अय्यर साहब को कॉपी नहीं कर सकते because अय्यर साहब is heard all over the world, even without the internet.
अच्छा.
उनकी आवाज अलग बुलंदी पे है. Okay, opening remarks. But opening remarks, I am scared to call you, अय्यर साहब. Opening remarks आपको 2 मिनट दूंगा मैं. आप opening कर देते हैं सब कुछ. Opening remarks to you, Professor A.G. Iyer.
See, the relevant point here today is your call for the public sector enterprises. Now, I am also the publisher of a magazine called the PSC Journal, and we also do the public sector awards. So let me tell you, I have been dedicated to the public sector cause for now 3 decades. So, and why? Why this reason? Reason is, if you see mathematically, we will say 6% of the economy is contribution of direct public sector enterprise. But let me tell you, that is a complete fallacy. 22% of the Indian economy is driven because of the public sector enterprises, because the number of MSME, the suppliers, the entire ecosystem that gets engaged because of public sector enterprises, state and center, that is CPSCs and SPSCs together. is 22% of the Indian GDP. What does it mean? We are close to almost $1 trillion in the trillion. So this is my opening remark. And therefore, the subject taken today by you is a very, very important subject, because the private sector, in spite of whatever it is talking, I'm fully with them. We need to get PPP. We need to get everything. But nobody should have any qualms to understand that the backbone of this nation is the public sector enterprise. And if I just add railways, I was doing a calculation, 2.5 crore people are involved in railways, and which is equivalent to the entire automotive sector of India. That is not the employees of railways alone. I'm talking of the suppliers, the contractors, the other people who depend on railways. And railways is still not logically seen as a PSU because it's the government of India undertaking. But it must be seen as a PSU. Now, therefore, I think people should open their eyes. We have two big PSUs in the oil and gas, IOCL and ONGC. But if you see now, today, we need people like GAIL. Gas Authority of India Limited is a very important asset carrying PSU. So you need to understand that the kind of hype that is happening in the mainstream mass media of private sector contributing so much, it has to be diluted by also making some kind of representation of the public sector in the larger domain of India. And they are the backbone infrastructure of the country. This is my opening remark. You gave me 2 minutes. If you give me more minutes, I will tell you more figures.
Ayar Saab, thank you for the opening
You
remarks.
want me to talk more?
No, Ayar Saab, because Arvind Samant is in Igatpuri, he's just joining us. He'll be coming and leaving, so I'll have to, keep shuffling the speakers. R.K. Chaudhary, Rajkumar Chaudhary, now he was the former, is the CMD, erstwhile CMD of NHPC. Chaudhary Saab, now you handle a very critical, area, Jammu Kashmir.
Yes.
Jammu Kashmir के अब आप JERC के chairman है, Joint Electricity Regulatory Commission. And Jammu Kashmir is in the talks for all the wrong reasons in the last couple of years, especially after the application of the Article 370. And there is a lot of, hue and cry about the statehood demands from the local administration, the local government under Omar Abdullah. Your experience with people like Sunil Sharma, the leader of the BJP in the state, in the Union Territory, I'm very sorry, Amit Shah ji, maaf kariye. Experience with Sunil Sharma vis-a-vis the Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha, very important factor, because he's been accused of a lot of bottlenecks by the local government there, by the state government, by the Union Territory government there. And also your experience with the Union Territory, with the government of the Union Territory in power today. Over to you, Rajkumar Chaudhary, Chairman, JERC Jammu.
Good afternoon, everybody. And as explained by Ayar Sahab, today's topic is very relevant. The role of public sector enterprises and the public sector banks. So, as mentioned, more than 22% of the GDP contribution are the contribution of the public sector enterprises and public sector bank. So, I will tell you that most of the public sector enterprises, mainly the government has categorized as Maharatna, Navaratna, Mini Ratna categories. So these are the categorization of the public sector enterprises given by the government for the performance of for improving the performance of the public sector enterprises. And most of the public sector enterprises are doing extremely well, mainly in the strategic sector, because without public sector enterprise, the growth, the overall growth, or the targeted growth cannot be imagined. Even in the power sector also, you can see the public sector like NTPC, NHPC, Power Grid, PFC, REC, so many public sectors, they are doing very well, and they are the growth engine for our mission Viksit Bharat 2047. So all are doing well, and few public sectors who are not doing well. The government has devised the methodology to improve the performance of those public sectors. Of view, the public sector and the private sector both should coexist, and the public sector, because public sector is not earning only the profit, it is overall economic growth, the creation of the jobs, the development of the area wherever the public sector enterprises are working, so many CSR activities, because you will glad to know that most of the public sectors are doing a lot of CSR activities for the development of the nation, development of the areas. And on the other hand, the public sector banks, the credibility of the banks, especially the public sector banks, are very high, because the people do not rely or do not believe much towards the private sector banks. So except few, so most of the public sector banks, they are doing very well, very nice. Yes, there is always a scope of improvement for the public sector enterprises and the public sector banks. So the government should always try and make efforts to improve the performance of these public sector banks and public sector enterprises, so that they should contribute more and more for the growth of the nation. But I advocate that the public sector concerns, the enterprises should flourish, should be given preference to continue with the larger contributions and the performances. And private sector should also exist, no problem, because only public sector enterprises cannot achieve the targeted growth of the nation. So yes, the economy absorb, and there is the role of both the private sector and public sector enterprises. So from my point of view, the public sector enterprises and public sector banks should continue and given the priority. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Welcome on board, Shri Arvind Sawant. Arvind Sawant.
Yeah. Thank you. Just give
Jai
me.
Maharashtra, Jai Maharashtra, Jai Arvind Sawant.
Jai Maharashtra. That's good.
अभी आपको एक महान युद्ध लड़के हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए मैं आपको बधाई देता हूँ। ये महान युद्ध बृहन मुंबई महानगर पालिका का युद्ध। I am talking about the BMC election युद्ध, the war that you fought. आपको आवाज आ रही है? आवाज आ रही है सावंत साहब?
Hello.
हाँ, अभी आवाज आ रही है।
One minute. I'm not able to listen to you.
Now can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Hello.
हमको आपकी आवाज आ रही है? हमको आपकी आवाज आ रही है?
आ गया. Now I'm getting your voice, sir.
Okay, मैं ये कह रहा हूँ, आपको बहुत बहुत बधाई और बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, क्योंकि एक महान युद्ध लड़के अभी एक महान युद्ध लड़के आपने एनर्जी निकाली इगतपुरी पहुंचते हमको ज्वाइन करने की। बृहन मुंबई महानगर पालिका का जो इलेक्शन है, ये वो म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन है, सिन्हा साहब, चौधरी साहब, देवाशीष वर्मा जी, जिसकी जीडीपी, जिसका टर्नओवर, जिसका बजट आधे स्टेट से ज्यादा है भारत के, ये वो कॉर्पोरेशन है। और ऐसे महान लोगों के कारण जो साउथ बॉम्बे को लेके चल रहे हैं। अरविंद साहब, फॉर्मर heavy industries and public enterprises minister, somebody who knows not the numbers, he doesn't know what Lutyens really talks about, what people in the lobbies of the private lobbies talks about. He's somebody who knows the public sector from the back of his hand. He knows how they operate. He was one of the greatest, tallest leaders in the trade union sector in Maharashtra in the MTNL days. And he has been the minister of the government of India when the government was in coalition with Shiv Sena, UBT. अरविंद सावंत जी हमारे साथ बहुत अच्छे लोग जुड़े हुए हैं। अरुण सिन्हा आपके साथ
मेरी आपसे विनती है, I was in a transit. So I have to go to a company where I have to make an agreement today because some agreement is to be done in Mahindra and Mahindra. For that reason, I am at Igatpuri right now. So my request is that kindly allow me to speak for 5-10 minutes, 5-6 minutes, and then please allow me to leave. Pardon me, but I am with you. That much I can tell you. 100% I'm with you.
Over
But
to
in
you.
this,
Over to you, Arvind Savanji. CII and lobbies are talking about privatization. 10 लाख करोड़ का लोगों ने गवर्नमेंट को सजेशन दिया है कि कम से कम जो है 51% से लेकर जिनमें 51% का पब्लिक सेक्टर में गवर्नमेंट का होल्डिंग है, दैट होल्डिंग शुड बी 76% से 51 and
reduce.
used further
Ah,
so that there can be 10 lakh crores of money which can be unlocked from the
it
public
is
sector to the
nothing.
private sector.
It,
So what
yeah,
are your
it
views?
is nothing.
Over to
It
you,
is
Arvind Savanji.
nothing. It is nothing, but it is leading to a privatization. Nothing else. This government, I mean, right now, right from the Honorable Pandit Nehru to Mr. Modi, in between number of prime ministers have come, they have created the public sectors. Every one of them, each one of them, including Atal Bihari Vajpayee, created a public sectors. The public sectors takes the owners of delivering goods at a reasonable price. That is most important. Delivering goods at a reasonable price. Now see what has happened to telecom sectors. Today, the private sector is enjoying the business, but do you know the rate they charge today, the tariff they charge or impose on the customer? Just think of an old landline when you have to pay hardly 250 rupees a quarterly rent or something like that, and the phone was being right now it is okay, the advanced technologies come, you need a phone on call, and you need to the service where while you are in transit wherever you are there, that's a good thing. But how much you are charging? See, for that initially they started with the free calls, free voice calls, okay. Now that free voice calls started, then they said data will be charged. Today, even for if you go for unlimited data, the Jio charges 1,005 rupees per month. That means around 18,000 per year. Have you imagined how much we are spending with this? The instrument, the iPhone, is more than 1 lakh rupees. The other phones are little bit lesser than price. Then the telecom service which was given by public sector was cheaper, or the telecom service is given by private sector is cheaper. The
Please,
best
all of
service
you, your
in
mic should be
entire
mute.
country, the nook
Mic
and
should be mute.
corner.
The minister is speaking. Mic mute कर लीजिए सब लोग. Only Arvind Samant, only Arvind Samant to speak, please. Background में आवाज आ रही. सावंत साहब प्लीज कंटिन्यू. सावंत साहब प्लीज कंटिन्यू. आपका माइक बंद हो गया सावंत साहब, प्लीज कंटिन्यू. सावंत साहब प्लीज कंटिन्यू. माइक बंद है आपका. आपका माइक बंद है सावंत साहब. आपका माइक बंद है सावंत साहब. आपका आपका हाँ अभी चालू है, अभी चालू
Can
है.
you hear me?
यस.
Now the issue is that when the telecom services were at such a cheaper rate were there, a private company came, lured the people by offering them free voice calls. People shifted to them. Today they are being, I mean, literally being looted by these private companies. Has you ever thought of importance of a public sector? Had it the public sector is BSNL is there right now, miserable condition. MTN they are destroyed. What a feather in their cap. To destroy a public sector is the feather in the cap of the BJP government. You are destroyed. You are destroying BSNL also. The both these companies have reached nook and corner of the country. Why you destroyed them? Whether they were not competent enough to render the best services. Who started pager in India first? The MTNL. Who started the mobile services in India first? MTNL. Today, what is the great achievement of the government? By destroying a public sector, you are asking the private sector to loot the people of the India. It's just to become these two companies rich. The exorbitant charges they are doing right now, imposing. Just think of it, how much cheaper the services were there. Let us take out other public sectors. Even the railways, they are from the backside entering into a private sector. Till yesterday, the housekeeping public sectors, the nexus of this, the core issue is the country's population. And to that population, you should give an employment. This government has miserably failed in generating the employment for the youth. And what the employment which was existing also is being ruined by this government. Both the way. And now the tariff from the Mr. Trump is again going to destroy all other, IT sectors and other sectors, people. The boys and girls who got the jobs and got the good salary, today they will be destroyed. Their life will be destroyed now. Where do you stand? Why you are destroying the public sectors? Make them accountable and responsible. If you have any problem with them, make the chairman, managing directors responsible for it. Make them accountable, and they'll deliver the best than the other people, like the private sector, I can tell you. Today, in Mumbai, the MTNL is destroyed. Some development work is going on. Landline has gone, but the theft has gone to such an extent. All those copper cables are being stolen by the people, and the government is literally ignoring it. It's your asset. It is your asset, sir. It contains copper. And you are losing that asset also. You have asset land. You have an asset. Land bank is there. We have no objection to monetize the land. But monetize the land and use that money for the development of the telecom sector. You are not ready to use that. The last 10 years, you blame the earlier government under 2G, 3G, all bogus allegations. Nothing has been proved in the court. Everybody has been rescued. Today, what is the state? First 2 years, you were blaming 2G, 3G scam. The earlier government has done this, done that. And today, what you have done? Killed MTNL. Killed. And you are going to strangulate BSN. I'm putting it on record. Take it from me. Not only these public sectors, all public sectors. You see how many, just take a record of it. How many industries have been closed down? BHEL is also now is under, on ventilation. One of the only public sector, biggest public sector, BHEL now. Other public sectors, what has happened to that? Hardly few. And you have an industry minister, public sector enterprise. What for? Looking after 6 or 7 industries where he doesn't have any power. Powerless ministers are there in the country. Only 2 guys are taking decisions. Whatever they feel correct, you just have to sign it up. That's all. You cannot opine. You cannot give a revival plan. What has happened to Air India? It was also public sector. Who ruined it? If the earlier government has made a mistake, for the very reason people have elected you. So what you have done? They made a mistake, you are doing a blunders. This is what the status of the public sector in India. What has happened to Air India? What is happening to public transports? Everything is privatized. Even the metro rails which are running in Mumbai are being run by private sectors, not the government. Education, health, transport. These are the very, very important sectors of the country. Should be controlled by the government and should be facilitated for the poor man of the country. Should create employment, should create service, should give a better service at a cheaper price. Housing is another issue. Pakka ghar. You are developing. What has happened to Mumbai port? Why you are not doing Mumbai port? You are having a national textile corporation. It is a public sector. Why you are not reviving the national textile corporation? Why you are not reviving the textile mills? Why you are not creating your jobs over there? Why you are not modernizing the textile mills? Nothing. Why you are not doing same other business over there? No. You want to create a Vadvan Bandhan. but you don't want to create a develop the Mumbai port. Now you are selling the plots in Mumbai port. Monetization is going on Mumbai port. Somewhere the housing complexes are coming. Somewhere they say the land has been given to BR Bhavan. What nonsense is going on? What nonsense? Is Baniya Dukani? Is it a Dukan? Is it a shop? Like a Baniya, you are running a government. Notice has been issued to the Adani from this US now today. This is what. See, what has happened to Indigo? When you say private sector should be there should be own companies. It has gone again to monopoly. They were creating, they were saying, it should not be monopolized. We agree, come on. Then what has happened? Indigo is almost monopolized. Telecom, we were never opposed of the private companies. Let them come, but don't tie our legs and say run with them. All nonsense is going on. And public sectors, unless you listen to my first speech, made a speech in the parliament in 2014 when I said or requested the honorable prime minister to strengthen the public sectors of the India. Yesterday he went on destroying the public sectors of India. That's a faith in our life. That's a fate of the public sector. It's the fate of the young generation, aspiring generation who wants to have a job. They will not get the jobs also. This is what the big government is doing right now. Thank you so much.
सावन साहब 2-3 मिनट 2-4 मिनट और दीजिए क्योंकि आपने बोला there are a lot of queries but yes just I will restrict myself to a few of them. Strategic sectors, do you think like the private lobbies are pushing for even a stake sale in the strategic sectors like defense? Do you think something like that should be ever in the farther in the
Absolutely. You underline the word strategic. They say telecom is also strategic, but they don't allow them to develop. Why our own DRDO, defense, that DRDO can do any? I mean, I challenge you. We have intelligent people. We have dedicated people. We have dedicated soldiers. They can do anything for the country. But how you will get commission?
that is what perplexed me when I recently read a report.
You accuse Bofors. Why you're silent on Rafael? Exorbitant price of Rafael. Nobody speaks about it. If you speak, you will be booked under sedition.
Yeah, I was also surprised. Recently, there was a collaboration between a startup and a defense PSU as for a technology which already DRDO had developed and given it to them 2 years back. So why there has to be a replica or duplication of effort? These things really perplex me.
Very good. You have underlined the word duplication of efforts. Perfect. Why there should be a duplication of effort? Just one example. In Maharashtra, around Nagpur area and Vidarbha area, the Anil Ambani, the brother, was given around 700 acres or hectares of land. For what? For defense repair centers or something like that. A man who had never worked in the defense sector is being allotted a land at a you can say most cheapest price. This is what the corrupt practices of the government. Why duplication of the thing? Why you don't trust our own people? Why you don't trust our own people? Why you need all private sectors only to work? In Mumbai, what they are done, housing, MHADA is there. Maharashtra Housing Area Development Corporation. Now that MHADA is to construct the houses. They used to construct the houses and they at a very, cheaper price. They used to give it to the common man, middle class, lower income group. All those things are there. On the one side, Prime Minister says, "I'll give pakka ghar." On the other side, he doesn't develop Mumbai port where thousands and thousands of urban dwellers are residing right now. What is their fate? And they want to give it to Adani. Dharavi. Why MHADA cannot develop? When you have authority, housing authority, why MHADA cannot develop? Why a private man? You need a private man to do that. And for that also, the government has passed a resolution where they say, if you need a TDR, if any other builder wants a TDR in Mumbai, he has to first apply to Adani. and then purchase the TDR from Adani and then try to procure it from other sectors. And what nonsense? Can you support a private sector? Government can publish, I mean, make a publicity of a private sector, give rules and regulation to in his hands, power in his hands to sell the TDR. Why others cannot sell? I'm getting it cheaper than any other builder. Why I cannot buy it? Why you are compelling me to buy it from Adani? How government can do it? You tell me how government can do it. This is what is happening. These all corrupt practices are going
A
on.
company like Dredging Corporation of India. Now there are other ways. It
Yeah.
is not only about stake sale. What they did is, what has been done is, it has been given to 4 port authorities separately, and it has diluted the public sector, basically the character, the structure of the organization. And even now today, the entire functioning of DCI, Dredging Corporation of India, is in doldrums. It is causing mayhem from the water level perspective in major cities. You know, cities like Calcutta have been flooded. There have been cities which have been flooded because of the water level rising. What do you have to say to such activities of play, or such kind of plans? Either you do it, ये बीच में छोड़ दे रहे हैं, बीच में छोड़ रहे हैं. Why are they doing this?
Just think of it. You are given Mumbai port to Adani. Then the residential colony of the Air India was also given to Adani. What will happen to that port? Today you have created a port in airport in Navi Mumbai. What will happen to this port? You are going to create one more port at Vadwan, Palghar. What is going to happen to this port? The land is already given to Adani. Future plan. Think of what is going to happen in future. There lies the issue. People who do not know Mumbai city are planning for Mumbai. Look at the bridges they are constructing. Look at the tunnels they are creating. How is it's causing inconvenience than the convenience. Water logging. The Aditya Thackeray has done a wonderful job in Mumbai he stopped that water logging in Naigaon Parel areas by creating some water reservoir tanks within some areas. Paid money to NTC for Tata Mill because they wanted to put the pipe underneath the Tata Textile Mills Corporation place. So NTC charged them, paid the money. The water is stored at the other side. Now there is no logging in water. This is what because unless you understand the cultural, social, political issues of the city or the state, you will not be able to develop the people.
There are also
develop the
cases.
state.
It is not a black and white. It is not a black and white situation. America has taken over Venezuela. America have the control over the oil stakes, or they're the world's largest oil reserves, Venezuela. Now, tomorrow, if ONGC, Videsh, for example, which had so much stakes, involved with the Venezuelan companies or the crude oil suppliers, if there is a stake sale, because the Hindustan Zinc Limited, the sale timing was such that it led to a huge amount of market cap. Today, HZL has a great, market cap. Probably the timing of the stake sale was very important. Similarly, can the government not say that today the timing of the oil companies having the stake sale like BPCL was stuck for such a long time? Is it not the right time for stake sale in such oil companies?
Wow. Now you come to simple one the basic question. You are purchasing the raw material like oil, and at such a cheaper rate you are getting today also. How much you are charging the consumer? Looting the country. Now, all these are, why you want to buy? Who was going to buy the oil from Russia? Is it a public sector? Who is going to buy the oil from Russia? Who is going to buy the oil from China? Is it a public sector? And that private sector is what going to do? He will refine and sell to again outside, but not for India. For a private company, government is working. This is what the miserable state of affairs going on in the government. Thank you so much, sir. I have to rush to because I have to.
No, Sawan sir, I understand. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. There's a lot more that we need to learn from people like you. It's not about being pro or pre. I believe out of the
It's not against anyone. It's not against pre or poor.
देखिए अभी 300 public sector है. 300 public sector है आप you were
Yeah,
the public
yeah.
enterprises minister.
Thank you.
14
Thank you.
Maharatnas,
Thank you.
26 Navaratnas, and approximately 75 mini Ratnas. We are still left with 150 public sector companies. The government should focus more
Yeah.
there.
Yes, it should focus more. Should focus more.
Reform, transform,
No.
and perform. Thank you, Arvind. Reform,
Yeah.
transform,
What a
and
wonderful
perform. Revive,
what a lovely
revive,
statement.
survive, and
What a-
thrive. Revive, survive, and thrive.
Absolutely. That I
Thank
said.
you. Jai Maharashtra,
That
Jai
I
Bharat.
said it earlier.
Jai Maharashtra, Jai Bharat.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Sir. Thank you so much. Bye. Bye.
Quickly, Devashish Verma, take
Thank
us
you.
through a little bit about Mekong. This is a company like, for example, EIL, which is into providing consulting services to the public sector companies, especially. We have people like Mekong, led by SK Verma. These leaders from small states, they are doing excellent job. Devashish Verma ji, in brief, Mekong and its future plans.
Good afternoon to everybody. My respect and regards to everybody. Mecon is design, engineering, consultancy, and contracting organization. And we started as consultants to the Indian iron and steel industry of the country. And subsequently, we diversified, and now we have three verticals. One is metals, one is energy, which comprises of the power generation, power plants, and oil and gas. And the third is the infrastructure. So this way we have expanded and we have diversified. And now we are doing business, and our um, order book is mainly from iron, steel, and infrastructure and oil and gas. And we are working on that. So this is brief about Mekon.
Verma ji, are you guys also into consulting with the private companies like Tata's?
Yes, we are in consultancy business with the private sector, especially with the Jindals, then erstwhile Bhushan.
Who are your competitors? Who are your competitors?
Our main competitors in the field of iron and steel is MN Dasturko.
Yes.
Okay, and you think that you people are able to compete with such private consulting organizations when it comes to consulting with the PSUs and private? Are
Yes,
you able to do that?
Earlier it was a bit difficult, but now we have also become competitive. We have improved upon our efficiency, and now we are competitive. And at many places we have got jobs after submitting a very competitive bid and finally grabbing the job.
What are the areas that you think the government can support companies like Mekon, EIL, and TCIL? TCIL and EIL are in a different league in terms of their turnovers, in terms of their metrics. Mekon, I think, is an organization which needs now a huge amount of support, because you people have an experience of one of the most critical infrastructure sectors of this country, that is iron and steel. What are the areas the government can provide, pumping more equity, helping you guys with more, collaborations, foreign technology collaborations? How do you think the government can help the organization more?
Sir, I think government has already announced a policy that is called DMISP, that is domestically manufactured iron and steel products. And the basic focus of that is to encourage the Indian consultants as well as the Indian manufacturers in the field of iron and steel. So the government is already doing that. And that is in a way helping us also. And there is a lot of stress on technology transfer from outside, not only collaborating with them and executing a particular project, but it is basically the technology transfer, so that ultimately we start we have self-reliance, and at the same time we fulfill the dream of Atmanirbhar Bharat.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Devashish Verma ji. Please stay on board with us. We've got Bimal Baklu ji and we've got Narendra ji. Narendra ji is the former CMD of IOB. He is the chairman of, I would say that he is not the chairman of a few committees in the world in the banking sector. Remaining everywhere else, this guy is brilliant, and banking sector is facing a huge tumultuous period in terms of privatization pressures. In fact, on the 27th of this month, there is a call by UFBU. Am I right, Narendraji? To call a strike, and they are at the loggerheads with the government, especially apart from the merger, huge amount of talks on the privatization space. But before I bring Narendraji, Professor Iyer, Vasudevji, an authority on the subject, because he is handled as the the director and CMD of various water organizations, because water has become a critical area. Before I bring you on board, Narendraji, over to you. In terms of the banking sector, the aspect of privatization, the pressures that the government has, the pros and cons, 20 lakh crores of bank frauds, private sector primarily involved. What do you have to say to this?
Anyhow, I will tell about the positive aspects first. And I am very glad that Amit Kumar, as always, trying to organize this type of webinar, which really serves the purpose. And remembering the public sector undertakings, public sector enterprises, and the public sector banks, the role and the play they have played all along in building up a strong and sustainable India. So, in that respect, all of our earlier speakers have really mentioned that there is a distinctive role for the public sector, as they have the earlier, no, and now also certain government initiatives are all being taken only through this type of such organizations, and they had the what you call greater role in the playing in terms of sovereignty, in terms of ensuring that greater employment opportunities, and also like Oil India or some of the oil sector companies have gone to such places where in the normal course to get a what you call extraction has been very difficult due to security reason. But they have played, and now those areas have developed and it has benefited. So whenever such difficult propositions are there, they are played only by the public sector what do you call organizations. As far as the public sector banks in India, there are more than 100, 150 or even more than that. Public sector banks have been there and they have been playing a very stronger role. And in terms of whether it's a financial inclusion, access to credit, or in terms of rural development, or in terms of self-help group, or women empowerment, or in terms of micro and small industries, in Prime Minister Jan Dhan Yojana, in reaching out and also in ensuring that the direct benefit transfer goes to the respective accounts. In all the government call, the public sector bank have played and they have shown they have the will and the capability to get that whatever government schemes implemented through the banking route. And that has really the Prime Minister's call gave on the when he assumed charge that within hardly 3 to 4 months, so many what you call financial inclusion accounts were opened. They were all tied up to the mobile. Then they were also tied up to the Aadhaar, and that resulted in a lot of savings for the government, and quite a lot, around 4 lakh crores. I think more than that, whether the central and state government today, all that financial assistance is done through the public sector banks. So in that respect, of course, the government took the initiative of merging the public sector bank, because the size and the scale is the important, particularly in the global context, except maybe the state bank, all other public sector bank compared to their size, our benchmark, particularly like our neighboring China and all, that our size is small. To that extent, current the merger process has gone well. And okay, in periods of what Amit is talking, that it is always related to what you call the domestic growth. When the growth is good, every activity looks very bright, and every private enterprise takes initiative and to get into the greater project expansion or into new sectors where hitherto they were not playing, or into the major infrastructure, roads, ports, airports, or in defense, railways, in all that, private sector has taken initiative and the banks have extended loan. Only a few are really, as he rightly said, few are also not lived up to the management role, and they were also little, in a way, no, there have been some diversion of funds and other things, which resulted in some of the accounts becoming bad. But due to the IBC resolution mechanism introduced by the government, quite a lot of those accounts which are really genuine, they have been taken by the better management, and they have been able to improve their performance much higher than what they were earlier. But there are a few who had not been able to find right management, and the realization out of those such accounts through the liquidation route has been lower. So overall, that measure of IBC has brought a deterrent in these industry or anybody taking undue advantage of the facilities available with the bank. And today, quite a lot of such stressed accounts are getting settled outside the IBC route. So that is because they really come forward and settle the account, because their management control will
just
go
interject.
if they are through the IBC.
Just a small interjection. Small interjection. Recently,
Yeah.
the Supreme Court ruled in favor of Sterling Biotech. I'm sure you are aware of that particular landmark judgment.
Yeah, I understand.
Landmark judgment of the Supreme Court, wherein
Yes.
for a portion of the dues, the entire organization was left scot-free, saying that if they can come forward and pay a part of the dues, there will be no punitive action against the promoters or the company. Does this not set a very dangerous precedent for the entire 20 lakh crore debt industry, stressed asset industry?
Correct. A particular, of course, sometimes in some individual circumstance or individual merits of the case, some of those such judgment sometimes hinder the banking process of getting duly in terms of the money due to the bank. But I think in this particular case, maybe the way in which they made up that they had the definite settlement plan, and that money was also shown to the court, and the court would have felt that there were no other any other criminal or diversion case against that, so they made a settlement that gave it that. But I say that it cannot be a precedence for any other future or existing cases. Each case has to be seen in the merits, and I am sure the incoming IBC improvements and IBC reform bill, or amendment bill, which is likely to be placed now, it must be in some of the committee. Once it is placed, quite a lot of the delays taking place, and the certain the sundry creditors who are all the mainly creditors with the secured creditors, secured creditors, they will have the priority. And they can really, so that will come. It is okay. That particular judgment on its own, we have to go into that. But it is
what are your views on the other ways? Like for example, the IDBI stake sale with the primary bidders being Kotak, which has not been doing very well very recently. It has, after the huge amount of money that was given away to Kotak Bank, Uday Kotak. Now suddenly Kotak has come to the forefront along with the Fairfax Holdings for the IDBI case. Similarly, Yes Bank, which was bailed out after the Rana Kapoor scam, now suddenly it has become the kind of a cynosure of the eyes of the government in terms of the stakes being taken over by the Mitsubishi and SMBC holdings of Japan. What are your views on these kind of collaborations and takeovers?
Amitji, in Indian context, as far as possible, our regulator will not, and the government, of course, government support, they don't allow any bank to fail. Of course, in the public sector bank, there is definitely a stronger support, but in the private sector also, where there is a genuine case that it has to be lifted out. So in the case of S Bank, as you rightly said, lot of NPA and other things, and some management role and other things will led to a bank little almost losing the confidence and collapsing, and they had the liquidity. And that time, with the intervention of the RBI and maybe a government, ICICI Bank, State Bank of India, and all of them came and gave a capital support. With that, they got into the ownership of those banks. And when currently the banks have taken out all those such loans and passed on to JC Flower, and the current operation of the bank is fairly good. So it has created a value proposition. And of course, today I find just like in the, I think that was in South, the DCB, was
Development
what you call
Commercial Bank.
Development Bank of
Development
Singapore
Commercial
got the 100% equity. Similarly, in the our city what you call Catholic Syrian Bank, again 100% equity to a private ownership. Similar offer came
What has been
in
the
terms of.
performance of CSB over the last
So
3-4
what
years?
I mean to say, when 1 minute, hear me. Whenever such banks are doing well and they are the private sector, it is ideal that the earlier owners encash and again give it to a efficient owner. Now, in the case of IDBI Bank, also went into a very big problem that the government then requested LIC to extend its help. Today, government and LIC being owning, they are offering to the no such players who can capable of taking. And as you rightly said, what paper reports suggest, 2 players are there, and that still no decision has been taken, but it is, I think, in the process. Yeah.
Yes, Fairfax has a all cash proposition for the government now,
Correct,
especially the 60% stakes of the government and 30% of LIC. But now
Correct.
that's not the issue. Now, what are your views on the merger of banks, public sector banks? Because that is where the entire problem is being faced by the government. From the Labour Commissioner's office today, there were reports from the Chief Labour Commissioner Sonal Mishra's office that there has been a loggerhead kind of a situation with respect to the privatization of public sector banks. 4 banks will be left out of the 12 public sector banks that we have.
So,
they have all been reporting
see,
wonderful numbers. Even UCO Bank, 6,000 crores of profits
yeah,
been reported despite the huge CBI case imbroglio over its current MD and CEO. What are your views?
yeah. See that during COVID time, the government gave its vision that they will have a very strong 4 public sector banks, and the remaining bank is for in a way privatization, because the fact that the government also needs money for developmental role, and the government has been spending, and being the owner, sometimes they can definitely get a better price which they can utilize for the such a infrastructure, social infrastructure, not only physical infrastructure, social infrastructure. But parallelly, I think before privatized, now it is around 12 public sector bank. Now there has been a strong rumor that within the 12, there will be further attempt to bring it to maybe in the first instance 8, after that 4. So that way the 4 public sector banks, strong banks with the strong capital and strong capability, they will be there. But
Last 1 year, these talks
but
are
as
going
you
on.
said,
last 1 year.
Yeah. Oh, strong
And
tha, but
yesterday,
ek
day before yesterday, I spoke to Rajeshwar Rao, the former deputy governor who just completed his term. He told me these are just plain insinuations and innuendos. There is no confirmed report, though there has been such report of the 4 banks over the last 1 year, and it demoralizes the staff, especially the SC/ST, the OBC staff, who are anyways demanding a kind of reservation post merger or post privatization as well. So how do you think such kind of deadlocks can be resolved?
Any merger or acquisition or in that, there is always the issue of HR, means human resources. And human resources in a way is the best or the source for the particularly banks like us or banks who are dealing in what you call public with the service as a main theme, because service can be delivered only by competent staff. So in that way, and there cannot be later, no, they are from that bank, this bank, like, suppose our one bank with the 3 banks merged together become a one strong bank. Today, that over a period of time, the earlier name is not likely to figure. So it has to be the staff are equal opportunities, but only thing is sometimes the size gives that, a few who cannot really, suppose the posts are limited and the number is huge. Some of them later in terms of the promotional opportunities may get feeling that they are not being getting promotion as that would have been if they were in the erstwhile bank, because that is the because your competition level will go up in those banks when it is a merged bank, because skilled people from various exposure coming together and their number being getting higher. And other than that, all facilities, all welfare benefits, all other opportunities, everything has to be given equally to all staff. Once they become the part of the merged entity, there is nothing to say that. And none of the banks have anywhere made anybody to go by any VRS or anywhere. It is all voluntarily. Nobody has been sacked or removed after the merger. In fact, the opportunities after the merger has increased because new areas can be taken up with the higher capital and all. Say one, wealth management. Today, wealth management also is one of the important activity of the bank. And along with the capital market growth, they have to be properly give the advice to customers. Similarly, the mutual fund distribution, insurance distribution, in all areas, forex, specialized area, treasury, now risk management. So in that, we'll have a good opportunity, irrespective of who and all. They are those things regarding their caste or religion doesn't matter. They are bankers. They are efficient bankers, and they should be encouraged and they should be made to get into the higher role. And in fact, the number of branches, if at all, over after merger and rationalization, if they are increasing, or without the branch also, they are increasing lot of avenues through the technological upgradation, including AI and all. Then specialized officers like what you call your analytics and other specialist people, including the current law, that Data Privacy and Protection Act, all that area, there need so quite a lot of them. We are now recruiting also banks from the market, because chief digital officer, chief risk officer and all, they are very specialized posts. So in a way, where is the opportunity is there, only thing is, okay, when we are, including myself, I am a product of public sector bank. So whenever if it is a privatization mood, individually as a whole, you may not feel happy, but collectively you will get opportunity, because the competition being higher, you will become more efficient.
And I'll bring you again towards the end of the show. We've got around 20-25 minutes left. I'll be bringing Professor A.G. Iyer, because he's to live. He's just told me, Professor Iyer, this IPO circus which has been happening, if I may use the word, wherein approximately 2 lakh crores of retail money got stuck last year, apart from the exit routes being adopted by these fly-by-night startup operators who come in, sell their stakes after a few days of propaganda, and then the retail investors are stuck. But in the same space, the public sector companies, the best of the companies, like the first of the coal companies, BCCL, has come out with an IPO. What are your views on public sector money or public sector companies taking the IPO routes?
See, I tell you, more important is if you look at the valuation of 14 gigawatt, I'm now naming it, 14 gigawatt capacities with Adani Group in the renewable energy. Now you take what is the gigawatt capacity that is with NTPC, right? NTPC is 80 gigawatt. During the current chairman's 10-year tenure, the company has come from 40 gigawatt to 80 gigawatt. See the valuation of the shares of NTPC. See the valuation of shares of Adani Group. You will understand, I don't have to tell you more. It is completely unfair. How can an 80 gigawatt asset company with almost equal asset for renewable energy have lower valuation than an Adani share? I'm not against Adani. I'm very clear. I'm happy that they also grow. Let Ambani also grow. But how can NTPC shares be weaker in the market? So this IPO is a tamasha, it is a gambling, it's a fraud. Okay. And the startups,
NHPC,
what is their experience?
NHPC, even after the inauguration of the pilot project at the Subhalakshmi or the Subhanchini project in Arunachal, even now it is staggering at a valuation of 70-80 rupees.
Yeah, so this is all racket. What is that racket? It is insider trading going on, and the Usmit one which is caught is being put behind bars. The one which is not caught is actually Hawaki valuation. Why should you and me know what is the Gensol case? When ex-MD of IREDA died, where is the investigation? There was nothing on the ground with Gensol. What kind of nonsense valuation? Solar companies are in glut. I sent you a document saying that we can make panels of 60% efficiency. Why the bloody hell we are having 19.5% feed efficiencies? So many things are there. So, if I go on, I don't have the time, but I'm telling you, for God's sake, see how much capacity you have in solar from PSU. BHL has only about 15-20 megawatt capacity. Where is the capacity to manufacture? BHL is the largest company for boiler turbine generators, 20 gigawatt of manufacturing. But what is the solar capacity? Peanuts. Who stopped them from making solar?
But at the same time, Iyer Sahab, 80% of their order book is pending.
No, that is because of something else. Why did you bring chairman? And now I'm openly telling you, why did you bring chairman from the Center Electronics to lead BHL? 200 crores का आदमी को आपने 2 billion, $3 billion का company कैसे दिया? What is the autonomy bloody for PSU chiefs? Government is micromanaging PSUs. I will give you one example. Why in Bhutan, Adani and Tata? I will also now question Tata. 100 megawatt experience India may for the last 20 years they have not developed 100 megawatt of hydropower. Adani also has no experience in hydropower. Complete zero. Why Bhutan में 5 gigawatt sign किया ये लोग? What tamasha is going on? You put your bilateral deal into his country. सब चुप चुप बैठा है. All the napunsaks of the world have the backbone and spinal cord gone. Tata has no capacity to execute hydropower. They are bringing HCC to execute it. HCC, abhi aapne, you talked about one of the NPS. Your banker was sitting there. 20 lakh crore. What? It is a fraud. We must investigate. How can you write off 20 lakh crore with just a bank getting 80% haircut? What nonsense is going on? Who sold off the assets of Lavasa? Kisko gaya wo? And the person who sold out, they are not able to pay off, and ultimately they will not pay off because
in the case
Lavasa is a white elephant.
In the case of Gensol, as you pointed out, I mean the former CMD Popli went on sitting in the board of this Gensol company that's owned by another Sardars. So I mean, what kind of, and didn't Irida know about it when they were sanctioning such 600 crores of loans?
First of all, I'm telling you, Popli was one of the stalwarts of the energy industry, with all due respect. And he's also a winner of the Inertia Awards, our popular awards. So I don't want to cast aspersions of Popli. He was just invited by the two Sardarji friends to be on the board, and then he realized something is wrong. More important is, somebody must investigate Popli's death in Ahmedabad. Will they do it?
Yeah.
His family has not filed any case.
I was following this case right from the time the whistle was blown at the SEBI level, and he was admitted, he quit from the board, but we'll not get into the details of that particular case. You were telling me you wanted to speak about the consulting organization.
No, I'm just telling you, I'm telling you, in the solar industry, there is a glut right now, and the glut is going to screw up at least 5 or 6 manufacturers in India. 5 or 6 manufacturers. So private sector, it's all hawa pani. It is not the valuation that you're talking. You have to reduce this valuation discount by 50% minimum in the stock market. That is a tamasha. That is a fraud going on. I'm very clear.
You were telling about, you wanted to say something about the consulting organizations' roles in the PSU like Mekon.
Yeah. See, Mekon, Ranchi, long ago, I brought them into an area of cooling tower, counterflow cooling tower. I given a presentation at Mekon. This is a very old story of mine. I will tell you, organizations like Mekon must go to the renewable energy industry. I've been telling this to EIL, they have not understood. They can't remain oil and gas entities anymore. In their energy portfolio, they must focus on renewable energy. That is where the meat is. All the Adani, Ambani, Avadas, Renew, all are coming in renewable energy. And they do not have the expertise. And because the PSUs are not taking interest in it, neither they are shifting to renewable energy, nor there is a competition. So that was your Mekon friend was asking me where to go. So I gave this information to them that in the energy train, they should focus a lot on renewable energy, including pump storage. I'm giving the solution PSUs right now because they have supported you. I'm happy they have supported you. But I'm telling them, please go here. For God's sake, you want any help? I'm there.
Okay, that is wonderful. Now SP Vasudevji, former Additional Secretary, Ministry of Home Affairs,
Thank you.
Ministry of
Thank you all.
Environment,
Thank you.
Government of India. Vasudevji, you've seen the public sector from very close quarters. Closing remarks from Vimal Baklu, because he's somebody who will also take us through the BSNL story. He's the stalwart from the telecom sector. Now, Vasudevji, your views on the push behind privatization in various forms and ways, including the stake sales through IPO routes and all, or equity dilutions. What are your views on the way the public sector contributes to the nation's growth story vis-a-vis the private sector, probably?
Amitji, after attaining independence in 1947, the only good thing that happened was creation of public sector undertaking to run power, oil, manufacturing, banking, industrialization. So we got big companies who were the growth engines of the country till 1991 when we opened up. When the PPP mode came, now from PPP mode, we have moved to privatization and disinvestment. The question is that public sector in this country still has got vast areas of operation. It has got vast expertise, but its contribution to national building is being reduced with privatization. The solution for this is privatization must come. See, we are at present in a mode of improving our GDP growth and improving.
Are you in favor of PPP mode?
I'm in favor of PPP mode as well as privatization, but there should be competition with the public sector, not playing with the public sector. What is happening is, as most of the speakers have told, we are playing with the performance of the public sector. Public sector must get its due as it deserves because it has contributed and it is still contributing. Banking sector, see, it has come up. It is competing with the private sector like anything. Oil is the monopoly. Now we have brought in private players. Insurance, we have done 100% equity can come from outside the country. So there should be a fair competition between public sector and the private sector. And
See,
with the accountability of both.
Gopal Krishnan Iyer just left before because he had an important meeting to go to. I would have asked him about this PPP aspect also. I mean, just a couple of days back, a huge political tamasha in the last 1 week in the state of West Bengal with respect to funds being diverted or money laundering issues. You know, ultimately the link led us to a private player into the iron and steel industry, which had collaborated with the bank monies, loans with a company in Gujarat for solar panel manufacturing. Now, is this the kind of PPP that we deserve? Is this what PPP means in this country?
Yes.
Whose money is finally gone? It's my money.
See, the accountability of public sector comes because it comes under the P of CAG. CAG audits its accounts every year. I think and I hope that PPP mode and private sector companies at random should also be brought under the control of CAG. There should be an audit so that they are afraid of misusing the position. We have got constitutional norms to bring the PPP mode as well as privatization under CAG. So at random, all the public sector undertakings are audited every year as far as CAG is concerned. PPP mode and public sector, private sector undertakings should also be audited at random. I had been telling during my service time tenure also that will bring transparency, accountability, and improvement and a healthy competition between these two.
I think Narendra ji has left the show. Narendra ji, if he would have been there, would have asked him, just like the CVC, and we've got the PTP norms, you know, the PTP, the whistleblowing norms. We've got CVC, you know, as a Central Vigilance Commissioner, who take care of the public sector and the public undertakings. You know, can't we have something like that, which is more robust, it has got more teeth, just like the CVC, also in the private sector domain, apart from having agencies like ED, CBI, you know, being overdoing their responsibilities or over carrying their burdens. Should we not be taking care of that also? But for another day, please continue. 3 more minutes to Vasudev ji to wrap up his views.
Please, see, there is a fair competition in selecting professionals to this public sector undertaking. There is a public sector selection board. We require privatization. We require private company, but there should be a fair competition between public sector and private sector for the benefit of the country and the countrymen. That's all. That is not happening at present. We have to bring a healthy competition between public sector and private sector.
Do you think one of the solutions could be bringing the top people from the related sectors or from the private sector, like HPCL's case? There was somebody who was brought in. Bail was being questioned. Similarly, for HPCL, Vikas Kaushal has been brought in from the private sector, and he has been given the helm of HPCL. So, do you think such collateral or lateral hirings could be a solution?
Yes, anything which encourages fair competition, which encourages accountability, which encourages profitability, which encourages improvement in growth and wealth, that should be brought in. At present, it is missing.
Vakluji, thank you, Vasudev bhai. After 5 minutes, 10 more minutes to the show. 10 more minutes to the show. By the way, the audience should know this gentleman, he is into farming. After such a kind of a illustrious career, he is somebody who goes and works with the farmers in the agriculture in the state, in the Union Territory of Chandigarh. Vasudev ji, hats off to you. People like you are the pride of my nation.
Thank you.
Vakluji, this independent director circus and the accountability of public sector. Start from there.
Independent director, you see, if we go, let me start with my industry, the telecom industry itself. Well, when it comes to the independent directors, sometimes the independent directors can be very, very effective. Like, I'll tell you a case. I didn't want to start from here, but any case, since you have started with the independent directors, I'll mention this case. What happened? TCIL had invested a lot of money into Hexacom, which was providing telecom services in Rajasthan and the Northeast. So what happened later on, there are some private enterprises who sold their stakes to Bharti. So it became Bharti Hexacom. And TCIL's stakes were reduced to just about 30%. Now, for years, everything was dormant in the sense that TCIL was, except for, this claim that we have 30%, getting nothing. So once a question was asked by an independent director that if it's your 30% stake, why are you not getting dividend from there? So we said they are saying that we are reinvesting the money. Now there is no way to check whether the whole money is being reinvested or, of course, on paper it is being done, but actually it is there or not, because the auditors, all the 4 big players in the auditing section, the international players, they were doing that job for Bharati. And finally, this independent director said, you tell them that we want a change of the auditor and see the response. And that is when the Bharati people in Bharti Hexacom agreed to give us dividend, because they were aware now they'll get exposed completely. So that is the role of an independent director. And finally, till then they were saying you just sell your stakes. But now they were forced to give, their dividends. They were forced to share that with TCIL.
I'll not name the company. Recently, a company whose primary role is to shell out subsidies to farmers to procure a particular product at an MSP. And in tumultuous global waters. They've been after a huge scam broke out in terms of the technology failure to procure from the farmers to benefit the private owners who were dealers and distributors. That particular company suddenly in 2 months' time declares a record dividend of I'll not even name the figure, otherwise you'll get the details on the internet. And we don't want to make it controversial. And the Honorable Minister was so happy being presented that check by the CMD. What a disgrace. Carry on.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I mean, since the time is short, and the farm sector, it's a sector which is full of scandals, starting from the fact that the so-called farmers, whereas the actual farmers who toil on the ground, they get limited, money and facilities, but it is the fat people who are actually traders and who so-called farmers, they enjoy tax-free benefits, and most of these farmers also become politicians. So this scandal has been continuing for the past 80 years in the country.
So much so that with the assembly elections, which we keep having as festivals around the corner, some states even manipulate farmers, for the, even from the minority perspective, to probably, corner almost 50% of the seats of a particular state, so as to ensure that the supply goes for a toss, leading to a complete failure of the supply chain.
Yes, there are a lot of such scandals happening in the farm sector.
So then that makes up the case for privatization.
Yes, you see, before, coming to the farm sector again, the reforms which the bills were introduced, it's really a sad state of affairs that this government withdrew those bills. It's a real sad day when they actually did that, because that would have transformed the whole thing. There are big scandals in all these, agricultural markets, manipulations, and the only people who gain are the middlemen. So we have to get rid of the middlemen. And the only way it can be done is through a proper, a scientific manner, which the bills had introduced. Because right
privatization, I would suggest in that case, privatization for sector-specific issues like these could be a very, very important national duty, which the government can look into.
Yeah. Besides this, I also wanted to say that, Mr. Sawant, of course, his speech was more like a political speech in a rally. But I would want to ask him, when did BSNL really go for a decline? What was the year when it started going into losses? That's one thing. Second, why did MTNL reach the stage when it has reached today? And he was talking about copper theft. It is who's stealing that copper? It is these people who are a part of the unions, of which he was the I would say, the leader, who are doing that in connivance with some mafias. And they do it in such a subtle way that you realize at the end of many months that this has happened. And then, even the police can't file complaints. So these are some issues. He raised a number of issues, and not only related to telecom, related to other fields also. And of course, I don't know how much time we have. There is, with each point, I have a point. I would have loved that he would have been here.
This extract of yours, I'll share with
he
him.
mentioned
We'll
about
have another show.
He mentioned about Mahada.
I have not called him to speak pro or for, because none of my shows has a skewed kind of a pattern that you are
No, what I meant to say that we have to be fair, whether it is public sector or private sector. We have to be fair. I have spent all my life in government and public sectors, so I'm basically a public sector man. But at the same time, I believe that we should not throw public money just because we have to keep a public sector alive. That
Who
is a
doesn't
sin.
know? Who doesn't know what Maharashtra is famous for vis-a-vis farmers, agricultural issues, suicides, procurements, MSP rackets? Who doesn't
Yeah.
know Maharashtra leads as a state? The state exactly from which Mr. Sawant comes from. They
And
had
you see,
till the other day, they were in hands in gloves with the NCP. Sharad
no,
Pawar.
I mean, I don't want to mention any political party, but at the same time, let's take the case of Mahada. He said Mahada is not being encouraged to do Dharavi. I remember about 30 years back, I mean, maybe more, sorry, maybe 35 years back, the then Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi came to Mumbai. I was there, and he announced that we'll transform this. It was called. It was a dense, populated area called Mankhurd. He said, we'll transform this area, we'll construct flats. Mahada started doing that. And what happened after that? So we expected now all those slums will vanish. The scandal was that the slum dwellers remained there, they got a little money, and the flats were occupied by other people. And the same thing happened. And I'm sure the same thing would have happened in case Mahada was given, Dharavi also. I mean, let's be sort of balanced. It's not one way or the other. We have seen both the things. He talked about DRDO. I have seen how DRDO has suffered. Yes, government interference. I was in one of the projects of DRDO, and I know how the then government in 2005-6, they actually sabotaged a project of DRDO. And I felt so bad for having wasted my time on that. So these are, big problems. And he talks about 2G scam. There was no 2G scandal. Well, 2G scandal was a big scandal, and that killed BSNL. I wanted to ask him what killed BSNL. It was practically the 2G scandal when all people got license and our hands were tied. We were told that you cannot operate. Yes, there have been some individual sort of ministers, even in the so-called NDA earlier, who created big scandals like Pramod Mahajan. I remember he, in order to promote Reliance, he created a lot of problem for BSNL. I was in BSNL that time. But we, as an organization, we fought back. And one of our, the first chairman managing director of BSNL, Dr. Seth, he paid a price for it. He was kicked up. So there are many things that happen in all governments. I agree. There are challenges, but there are a lot of problems which we should also understand that you cannot sustain PSUs all the time. Like Mr. Narendra has already mentioned, that the size matters in international banking. And when you have to open out banking sector, you have to ensure that your own people become strong, and mergers are important for that. And I think that was a very positive step by this government. And that if the strikes happen because of all these things, I mean, God alone can save us. Because I remember even in organization like BSNL and TCIL, what used to happen? There used to be people who were not on regular employment. They used to work very hard and make us happy. The moment they are regularized after a few years, maybe 15 years also, they stop working. They say, we have worked enough. What do you do with such people? You can't. So in a private sector, this will not happen. But in PSU, this is a big challenge for the administration.
Vaklu Sahab, recently the Vodafone AGI dues, the decisions that have come, they have a huge burden on the exchequer. Just in the name of creating a triumvirate competitor with the vis-a-vis BSNL in terms of Airtel, Vodafone, and Jio. What are your views on these kind of steps that the government has taken?
Well, I'll tell you something about it. BSNL basically is not a competitor right now. What is the market share? It's less than about 5-6%. So it's not in the race at all. So government is keeping it alive
what is
by.
Vodafone's market share?
No, I'm just coming to that. You see, government is keeping BSNL alive just to ensure there is a PSU, and because government can take all sort of benefits also from the politicians can take all sort of benefits from PSUs. So they are keeping BSNL alive, and they have invested a lot and encouraged BSNL a lot. But still, the market share is very low. So who are the main players? It is Jio and Airtel. Now, if only these two players remain, so it will lead to duopoly. So which will be bad for, of course, the customer perspective. So I feel that there is nothing wrong in prompting the Vodafone part of it, because at least there is some semblance of competition. When there are three players, you can't all the time manipulate the market. So that is, I think, some limitation. Yes, but at the same time, it doesn't necessarily happen at the cost of the national exchequer, because government also is a stakeholder. Tomorrow, Vodafone sells its stakes, government gets money. Like when TCL had stakes in Bharti Hexacom, TCL finally earned 3,500 crores out of the investment of 100 crores, and government took all the money. Government had invested just 10 lakh rupees. So government took all the money. And where did that money go? Again, for the development of the country. So it's not always bad to support such ventures.
Are there cases in mind wherein, because this kind of an approach is absolutely the opposite of the approach in the case of Hindustan Zinc, wherein the market, was taken into consideration, and the valuations were assessed by the government of that time to ensure that the sale of the stakes was something which would give the results which HZL gives to us today in terms of a 8,000 crore valuation, right from a valuation of 600-700 crores during those days. So do you think, and also we've got cases of oligopolies finally, collaborating between themselves, oligopolies collaborating, cartelizing, as well as there are takeovers and mergers which are approved by SEBI, creating finally a monopoly. And henceforth, this kind of an investment by the government into bailing out companies like, or equity investments into Vodafone, do you think it is a better step compared to much more focus into a profitable BSNL today?
You see, I'll start with the last part first. You said create a bigger entity. BSNL was an elephant. All these private players were nothing as compared to BSNL. And what killed BSNL is, as I mentioned, it's the 2G scam, for which, of course, they got clearance from the courts also. I don't know, government did not file a counter file for that. The problem is that, even if you create a mega, there is no need, because the infrastructure basically with BSNL is enough. If BSNL is able to increase its market share, it's already in a position to sort of change everything. But that is not happening. That is not happening, not because of the fault of BSNL at this stage, but the reason is that the other players have become so strong and they have so much of international support in terms of financial muscle, that BSNL, for supporting BSNL on the same scale, everybody's money will have to be pumped into BSNL, which is not fair. That's the challenge.
Tomorrow,
And
if a monopoly finally comes into the telecom sector,
yeah, that's the challenge. That is why Vodafone, survival of Vodafone is important. That is why survival of BSNL is important. And both these things the government is doing right now. I mean, they are, otherwise, I'll tell you, in mobile, in 4G, there was no chance of BSNL being a player, but still government is prompting BSNL
are you
to be
sure
there.
in the near future we are not seeing a Jio Vodafone merger?
Jio Vodafone merger.
Money
Well,
has to be routed. Money has to be routed to private players,
no,
somehow or
but
the
if
other.
it's a Jio, Vodafone merger, then again the whole task is lost. That is up to the government. The government should
Exactly
not
that
sell
is
their
what
stake. Government
exactly
should
that is what
not
I was
sell
trying
their
to
stake under any conditions to Jio.
which
I
will
mean,
never
if they
happen.
do that,
Which
it is the worst step a government can take in the interest of the public.
Okay. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Beacon, thank you so much. This was a wonderful discussion. I wish people who are stakeholders, understand one thing. ITI was the first PSU. ITI, telecom. In 1948, ITI and DVC, these were the two immediate first, the earliest PSUs which were made by the government. DVC, I can understand power perspective, but the vision of the government of Prime Minister Nehru and his colleagues, Sardar Patel and everybody, in 1948, especially when the industrial policy was being made, and in 51 when the industrial policy came for the first time, despite being the first company with a vision towards telecom communications, it is nowhere to be seen today. Yes, 95 was a golden period, was a good time when Motialji was the CMD. But again, ITI has failed to deliver the way it should have. And companies like ITI and visions like ITI, which were not made with a political objective. The basis of creating PSUs is to help a country like India, achieve its goals, and equitable distribution of resources and wealth is something which the goal of the democratic government in power has to be. And especially now with the focus towards development, with Naxalism being eradicated by March 2026, the government has to ensure that the public sector companies which has its presence in these 120 districts of India, which were Naxal ridden in 2013, down to zero today, they also get a fair share of this equitable distribution of wealth, and public sector is going to do much better, according to personal view, than the private sector, which has only been accused of sabotaging tribal interests over the last 15, 20, 50 years. So looking forward to more participation from the public sector in the future. We might not be able to influence public policy or the government's policies, because ultimately it is vested interests, political interests which drive decisions. But yes, we will try and make a mark by bringing the right-minded people together with a non-partisan approach as we approach the Republic Day again. Let us wish there is much more, judicious call when the budget is being presented in terms of utilizing the public sector to its fullest potential for the nation's Viksit Bharat aspirations and its march in Amrit Kaal. Thank you so much, Mekon. Thank you, Waklu Sahab. Yes, Waklu Sahab.
Yeah, I just wanted to add a couple of points more. You mentioned about ITI. Yes, ITI faced a challenge. It was not able to keep up with the times. There was another organization which would have been very important from the perspective of the chip manufacturing. That was Semiconductors India Limited, Mohali. Are you aware? I mean, because you have also been in this domain, that it got burnt and there was no inquiry about it. Why did that happen? This maybe you could think about next time about when we talk about PSUs. That's a very important thing. And second thing, C dot, for example. C dot brought about a sea change with Mr. Petroda coming there sometime, and so much so that finally even the other manufacturers from abroad, they were scared of them for the rural exchanges they had created. It had huge potential. And what happened? The moment the new government of Mr. B.P. Singh came to power and Mr. Uni Krishnan became the minister, he literally ensured that C dot did not remain functional. So, because, I mean, the leanings, whatever it is. So there are many such examples where there have been problems, and we need to give it a thought. I mean, C dot was basically government, and it could have been the best in the world, like Nvidia or anybody, but finally that did not happen.
I'm sure you really raised a couple of very important points. I also invited Mr. Petroda today, but being in the US and with a time difference of 10.5 hours, he could not join me. It's midnight today over there in the Texas. I know, and he shared an image of this, showing the first telecom exchange to Rajiv ji, and also then having discussions with VP Singh and Uni Krishnan, who literally ensured that after Mr. Gandhi's untimely demise, his assassination, the India's telecom, journey got stalled. And despite Mr. P.V. Narasimha Rao taking over thereafter, and then with the great Mr. Vajpayee, who ensured that nuclear prowess also came into the picture, unfortunately, telecom failed to take up or failed to take.
That I don't agree. The telecom journey continued, but indigenous manufacturing is something that suffered. Telecom journey took a big leap in the 90s, which we are aware.
Yes.
But it is the indigenous manufacturing
absolutely
which came to a halt.
Yes, that I absolutely, because I'm not an expert and I probably made a mistake in terms of mingling the two things. Yes, the journey continued because 1995, I remember Jyoti Basu making the first phone call.
Yes.
First phone call through Telstra. Thank you so much, gentlemen. We've got a long way to go before we become a superpower. Thank you.